Howdy, y'all. Welcome back to the Black Sheep Meadow. I'm Brent.
And I'm Amber.
And today we're going to discuss some of our food preparation for this next year. We've got a few videos out now, and I think we've probably mentioned 5 or 6 times that we're focusing on 80% of producing 80% of all of our total food for the year 2023. While some people say, okay, yeah, you know, throw a couple seeds in the ground and a plant's going to grow, it's going to make it. I'm going to tell you what, that's the furthest away from being the truth that you'll ever see. Let's do some simple math here. If you're going to produce all of your own food, there's 2 of us, and the average person eats roughly 5 pounds of food a day. Think about that, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So 2 people, 5 pounds a day. That's 10 pounds a day for 2 people. That's 3,650 pounds of food a year. It's quite a large number when you start looking at it like that. So we're going to basically show you guys what we do. Obviously, we have lots of open garden, a lot of container garden. A lot of our meats we do a lot of our own chickens. We're going to do like our cattle, our beef, and our pork is going to come from other homesteads local. Basically what we're focusing on is staying away from the grocery store. Now, the grocery store is inevitable. Let's face it. You know, we're here in Central Texas, and obviously I don't have a salt mine, so I'm not going to collect my own salt out of the ground. We're not going to stop eating rice. I'm not going to have a rice field here. So some things still will be store purchased, but we're trying to get that to a minimum. Like I said, our target goal is 80% of all of our own food. Here goes our rooster there. He's actually going to end up in a pot very shortly. But anyways, we're focusing on 80% of all of our own food, and we wanted to give y'all some examples here of what we've done so far this year. Our 2023 garden is probably going to be in the neighborhood of around probably 200% to 250% larger than what we did for 2022. So let's take a closer look here. Okay, so we've got this year's been an excellent pepper year for us. We've grown more peppers this year than we have in any years past. But that being said, we make all of our own seasoning, and it's not...
Well, hold on. We don't make all of our own seasoning yet, but we're definitely on the right track.
We're on the right track for that.
We are growing a lot of the elements to make our own seasonings, and we're trying not to let anything from the garden go to waste.
All of our the chilies, and some of these are actually the bong chow peppers. You see we got a lot of Anaheim, gypsy peppers, habaneros.
These just came out of the dehydrator a few minutes ago. I'm fixing to cut the ends off, and then I will grind them up into a powder like this.
Our own chili powder.
So it's a chili powder
and
seasoning.
We mix, not only is there chili powder in here, there's also some of the dehydrated Anaheim peppers, which these are sweet peppers. This is an excellent mix. She cooked a roast this past weekend with, using this as the primary seasoning. Same thing with some of our onions from last year.
This is what's left of my onions from this last year. I use these all the time. I love fresh dehydrated onions. They really bring a nice flavor to your food. So this jar will be full again shortly. I'm being kind of sparse with them because I'm down to the bottom.
This is some green onion, the tops off the onions. Whenever the onions were growing this year, we trim the stalks for better growth on the onions.
Yeah, as your onions are growing, you trim off the stalks, and you keep the stalks might not be the right word for it, but you keep the green part short. And I dehydrate those.
Well, we took the stalks, we washed them off, got them clean first, and then dehydrated them, and then we ran them through our food processor. And this jar doesn't look very big, but
well, that jar is about half of what it was because I use it a lot.
Yeah, well, the material, what I'm saying is the onion stalk, whenever we started with this, it probably could have filled a gallon-sized Ziploc bag. And, of course, once it was dehydrated and ground into a powder, everything fit inside of this jar. Yeah. So
then you have other things, like we did some dehydrated okra out of our garden.
This is probably one of my favorites. I add okra. I like okra. Amber doesn't like okra. But I'll add it to a lot of stuff. Very easy to rehydrate.
I like the flavor of okra. I'm not a fan of the texture that okra does. But this is really good dehydrated to add into a stew or something like that. And now you have stuff out of your garden all year long instead of just when it's fresh. So this is just some more whole peppers. So when I'm doing a soup or a stew, I'll grab a whole one and just throw it in there and let it, like, on the slow cooker. So like these are hot. So I'll add if I want a little extra heat, whereas the mix is kind of a mix of heat and sweet. I'll add in a couple of these. I also have just some regular.
Just a whole. Those are Anaheims.
These are the Anaheims, but they're in whole. They're in just a whole.
Gypsy peppers.
Yeah,
gypsy peppers in there too. Let's get on to some of our bigger.
So the tomatoes that came out of the garden, this is actually turned into tomato sauce, which is using probably about 90% of our own seasonings, but it's already seasoned tomato sauce that I can.
Like you'd put on a pasta, or
it's like a pasta sauce.
Yeah, something like that.
Then
heavy with garlic. I like garlic.
Oh yeah, there's a ton of garlic in it.
Matter of fact, we're fixing to plant all of our garlic for 2023, which we will not be able to harvest until
4th of July.
4th of July.
The rule of thumb is you plant it at Halloween and you harvest it at 4th of July. And I'm sure there's some variances to that, but that's kind of the rule of thumb. You plant it at Halloween and you harvest it 4th of July. This is some carrots out of our garden that I pressure canned. They came out really, really good.
Of course, this is all just a very small percentage of what we have. We're just trying to use this for demonstration purposes.
The potatoes don't look very pretty in the jar,
but they come out excellent.
They come out very well. These are out of our garden. Sweet corn out of our garden.
The sweet corn, let's talk about that for a second, because I've tried several years. Sweet corn has probably been one of the hardest things for us to grow, and I don't know why it is. I don't know what, we do soil tests on our soil every year, and I feel as if I've made the soil conditions absolutely correct for the sweet corn. We've been able to grow some field corn okay, but this particular variety of sweet corn, it's a hybrid, and it's labeled a bodacious sweet corn. And every year, the years that we had really good produce off the crop, we've gotten torn up by raccoons or something else just destroyed the crop right before we were able to harvest. So this year we got a few pint jars off of that.
We got 4 total. We got 4 total. And then this is tallow. So beef tallow that I rendered down.
This is sustainability on the homestead. This is for when you think about a homestead, this is what it's about. We're trying to do everything here off of our property. We're not trying to depend on any grocery store or any other system out there. Not that we're off grid. We're definitely on grid. What I'm saying is we want to be able to sustain ourselves without depending on anybody else.
For as much as we can.
Correct.
So he'd said earlier that we have cattle from other homesteads and other local farmers, ranchers, and we get it processed directly that way. And we usually get a half a steer at a time. You talk to them and you have them save you all of the fat trimmings, and then you render it down, and I make beef tallow out of it.
We fry pork chops with it, fry your chicken with it. I mean, you name it across the board.
It's just like any other fat that you would use. So I have jars of beef tallow. I also have it from our pig. So I have tallow, which is from your pork or your beef, and then I have your lard, which comes from your pork. And I have jars of both of them, so we will always have it. What else do I have out here on the table? This is fresh out of the garden today. So we're still producing peppers, and there's still a lot more out there. Most of this is gonna go in the dehydrator. Most of it, just because when you dehydrate it, you see like this was full, and it was probably 3 times what you see here to make it. So it takes a lot to
produce just a small amount.
To produce some. So, and the other thing that we're going to try is we're going to dehydrate some pumpkin. Brent saw something somewhere with dehydrated pumpkin.
Some pumpkin powder.
Pumpkin powder, and we're going to try that since pumpkins are everywhere right now. So we're going to try that.
So going back to other things too, like I said, the salt, we use the Redmond real salt. That's a very popular salt with homesteaders. It actually has a lot of minerals in it, unrefined minerals that are in it. We're focusing on, not that we're drinking our rainwater that we collect so far, but we do have rainwater collection systems. We're actually going to do another video strictly on rainwater harvesting. And so whenever you start drinking rainwater, you're missing out on your minerals, So we have a well here at the homestead, so mineral is not that big of an issue. This is, we're looking for 2023, 80% of all of our own food production, or at least if we do outsource for any of our food production, it's going to be coming from another local homestead. All right, so one other little piece of information too. When we say 80% of all of our own food grown here at the homestead, I really think it's going to be hard at this day and time without just being a hermit that never leaves your property. It'd be really hard to achieve anything more than that. I know some people claim that they do, but I mean, let's face it. Let's like I said, we don't have a salt cavern here. We don't have rice paddies in Central Texas. Some locations may allow you to grow those things, but that being said, those locations are not going to let you grow peppers or okra. You know, it depends on where you live at in the world. So, 80% I think is an achievable goal. I would like to see more people growing. You know, let's say 20% or more of all your own food. Let's go back to pre-World War II when I think it was something like 50% of America grew like half of their own produce in their own gardens and at their not their homestead, maybe their houses. So we need to get back to those kind of things, really focus on that. If y'all want to like, subscribe, ring the bell. We're going to see y'all next week.